tell me things that I don't know. Jon Favreau was in an interview recently, and they talked about what could be happening next in the Star Wars universe, and it's a big thing on the screen, and it's very eventful, but it is a relatively brief moment in history over the course of the thousands of years that Star Wars takes place. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hey, this is a clip from our full episode, so make sure you check that out on the channel or in the description. So what happens after it is interesting too, and I know that there's some discussion and exploration going on about what happens after it. We have some teases about the Damon Lindelof Star Wars project and how it is more than likely set after the events of The Rise of Skywalker. I want to ask you, do you think that the next stories that they're going to be telling in Star Wars are going to be post Rise of Skywalker?
My initial gut reaction would be absolutely not.
Really?
I feel like they would just be like, okay, we're gonna keep stepping away from Rey a little bit and just let's go way in the past. I feel like that's more their
I feel like
speed.
that's what fans want. Mm-hmm. They want to go back in time because that's where some really interesting stuff happens. I mean, what's the story that you're going to tell after the Rise of Skywalker?
Right.
They had another bigger Death Star, and then they had a bunch of Star Destroyers with Death Star tech. You can't go bigger after that.
I know.
It doesn't make sense.
It's really interesting thinking about Star Wars and tech. All that we have seen from the beginning to generations later, it's just
bigger. Yeah.
We've
Guys, technology is better because it's bigger.
Right. And I feel like we haven't actually seen an actual progression of technology progressing.
The closest thing we got was when they had the hyperspace tracking in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But that was dumb.
Yeah, we did that because we needed to know.
They're like, technology has advanced. Oh, how is it advanced? What are you doing? Well, we can track through hyperspace. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Well, it needs to make sense. Otherwise, we don't have a movie.
Right.
I think there's two paths that they can do here. They can say, oh my gosh, there's a new sect that's coming out, and it's not the Galactic Empire. It's not the First Order. It's the Final Order people. This is the Knights of Ren somehow have returned, and they're making a bigger ploy for control of the galaxy. They could go that direction. I don't think that's a fun story because they tried that before and it didn't really land as hard as people hoped it to. Or they can go what I hope they do, which is the smaller scale stuff. If they can set up a cool story that's told through all these different set pieces of the films, the TV shows, the animated shows, the video games, the books and comics, weave it all together. Not like DC is doing, but they weave it all together where you get these bits and pieces all the way around. Let's set up the next part of the Star Wars galaxy with this Damon Lindelof Star Wars, and that's what's going to expand things. Bring in the Yuuzhan Vong, or bring in the Rakuten Empire, bring in these kinds of things, there's an outward force. Maybe what they're trying to do is the unknown regions, that might be something that they're trying to play around with on the big screen, because they're definitely doing it in the small screen.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's so much Star Wars out there that's just not tapped into. Mm-hmm. And I feel there's so many good things out there. Why don't they just look? Knights
of the Old Republic era, the High Republic era. They have all of these places in the past. They still have a lot of stories that could be told in the prequel era.
They could recycle some of these stories. If they saw, here's this race that rose to power. There's a story about this one.
It's not the Yuuzhan Vong, but it's this other thing.
Even if you could just recycle that story, pay homage to it, but make it something new.
I mean, that's what Marvel does with the comics. They say, this is going to be Civil War. They're going to take this piece over here, and there's this comic over here, and then there's this bit of animated stuff from the 90s that we're going to take in over here. I think there's a lot of those stories that could totally be told. It's more of a remix and an homage and taking these different aspects and then moving it forward.
Story is story. It's just you got to find the good ones,
Yeah.